Hey everyone, welcome. As I say every time, I think good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time zone you are on. Welcome for the day. And as always, please, any feedback is always good. Saying hello, love to see the hellos on the chat box and all that kind of stuff. So if you're on here, please let me know. I think we finally got the microphone figured out. Got a Yeti mic, and I guess those are pretty cool things. And so I'm working with the new microphone, and I hope everybody can hear it as well. And I know there's a little bit of a delay always in all of this. I was talking to one of my business partners after the last Facebook Live, and I was texting him right as soon as I got done. And what was funny is as I was texting him, he said that I was still coming through on the Facebook Live video. So there's definitely a bit of a delay. Definitely a bit of a delay. And so obviously, if you're on here, please shout out. Let me know that you're here. My wife says the sound is all good, so that's awesome. And so, housekeeping notes for everybody. Try to make sure I do this. We've got and I'm excited. I've been texting back and forth with my team this morning. I am so excited to get a chance. My last 13 years of my life have been speaking in front of groups of people, going to hotel rooms and hotel ballrooms, conference rooms. Hey, Jessica, how you doing? And being able to talk in front of groups of people. I always enjoyed that. I love it. Hey, Haley, what's up? So the UK's alive and awake over there. That's awesome. Casey, are you in Reno? I know your family's in different places up in that northwest part of the country, but I think you're the one that's in Reno. Biggest little city in the world, I think is what they call that. But anyway, I love the banter back and forth. And as you know, when I'm on these, I can't not talk to you because that's what I'm used to is talking to people. So I'm really looking forward to a week from Friday. We have a 3 day, I guess it's called a summit. You have to have some big name for things now. You got to have a summit or a challenge or whatever everybody calls these things these days. Hey, Miss Suka, what's up? Awesome. Yeah, I knew you. I thought some of your family was in Montana. I couldn't remember who was where. Anyway, Jocelyn, how are you this morning? Awesome. This is so cool to see you guys. And so I love the back and forth. And even if it's just a hello, that helps me out. If I could ask, and my wife said it's all good, you guys that are in other places across the world in the country, because we got Canadians, UK people, Americans on here, is the sound okay today? Just give me a thumbs up, or that would be helpful. I appreciate it because I never know. I can't tell how it actually is because if I tried to put other monitors on, I'd get feedback and everything else. So I don't do that. But anyway, as you guys know, many of you know, I've met you this way. The last 13 years, I've traveled all around the world doing trainings. And so the thought of not being in front of a group of people has been a challenge for me over the last few months. There's no doubt about it. COVID obviously has made much worse for a lot of people, but for me, it has definitely changed what I like to do, what I did do for a long time as well. So the virtual one that we're going to have is completely interactive. We're going to do a lot of fun stuff, having you guys involved in the training. So if you want to be on it and you haven't gotten an email about it, let me know, and I'll make sure that you get the information. And make sure that if you have anybody that you also know that would like to be on it. Hey, Kevin, I think you're a Boston guy, if I'm not mistaken. Amanda, great to see you as well. And so, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. You're the chiropractor from Boston, and you may not be from Boston, but that's where I've met you before. If I've got the right Kevin Lynch, I think I do. I can't see the little picture beside his face down there, so I don't know. I can't. I just went to the eye doctor this morning, and so yeah, that's nice when they tell you that your reading glasses aren't good enough anymore. You need better reading glasses, which means apparently I'm just getting older. I think is really what it comes down to. But anyway, I get off on so many different topics and tangents here, but it's a lot for me. It's just a lot of fun. But the summit we have coming up October 23rd, 24th, 25th. It's 3 days. Yeah, okay, so you are in that area. That's awesome, Kevin. I got the right Kevin. That's awesome. And so anyway, please, if you have any questions about that, either send me a message in my private message, or it's burbanksummit.com. Just click on there and you can see we built a funnel. I had never built a funnel in my life. The only funnel I'd ever known about was a funnel that actually, you poured water through or something like that. So we built a funnel. And so I've helped build. I didn't really do much of anything. I did a couple videos, but we had a great guy by the name of Mohsen out of Canada. Mohsen Jamil built the funnel for me. He's actually a former student of mine. Does a lot of that kind of stuff. His name of his company, I'll give him a plug on here, is called socialleads.com. Great guy to work with, very, very informative on how that stuff works. It's been quite funny for me because Mohsen's early 30s, I'm going to say. He's early 30s. I think he's 31, 32. And so there's a generation between us, and that generation may as well be 100 years when it comes to me and technology, because I don't know it very well, don't understand it very well. And so we've had a lot of discussions about what I would like to see. And I mean, I truly believe I'm the customer in this situation. If I'm buying something from somebody, we're going to talk about closing the sale today. The customer is always right. I mean, obviously, if the customer is cussing you out and everything else, then maybe they're not always right, but they don't need to be your customer. But if I am paying for a service, I'm paying for a product, I expect it to be whatever I have been told that it's going to be. And so we've had a lot of discussions going back and forth with that. And so it's been interesting to learn about funnels and all that kind of stuff. Now, it will be interesting to see what we have for a result. And it'll have a lot of, like I said, a lot of fun on the summit that we're going to be doing. I'm very excited because it'll be my first time really doing I was going to do this on Zoom today, and I completely spaced it off. We'll do it next time on Zoom. So we'll practice tomorrow or Friday on the Zoom side of it. I don't know if Dan Shaker's out there listening to me, but I definitely will need a little bit of help making sure I know how to do that process. I think it's pretty easy to do. It's just a matter of me doing it before we get started. And I know some of you guys will be on here going, all you have to do is click this button and click that button. Well, easier said than done. I don't want to mess anything up either. So anyway, lots of cool stuff going on for us at Burbank. Lots of cool stuff for me going on because I get the opportunity to start talking in front of groups of people again, and it's going to be way more interactive than a Facebook Live video is. That's why I wanted to do this on Zoom, so I could get it a little more interactive, and I could see Masuk and wave at her and all that good stuff. Masuk, I'm surprised you're not golfing already. And so anyway, it's great to be able to talk to you guys. We're going to talk today about asking for the sale. I was talking to one of my business partners yesterday. Or the day before. It doesn't matter what day it was, I guess. And we were talking about, a lot of people are scared to ask for the sale. I truly believe that if you have done what you need to do about talking about your product, but that's the least part of it. The most important thing you need to do is ask questions. You need to get to know people. The 3 L's, listen, lead, link. Listen is number one. It's really easy to ask for the sale because you should just be asking questions. So if I'm talking to Rebecca here or anybody like that, would you include topics on starting up an LLC on the 3-day summit? We will definitely talk about we can talk about anything that you want. See, I think what I want to say about this, Rebecca, is you guys are the customer. We're going in with some stuff based on sales. And the thing about sales is it's every day, every way. So even if you're setting up an LLC, there's sales involved in that. There's going to be sales from you to the lawyers and the accountants, and there's going to be sales from the lawyers and accountants back. I'm always amazed when somebody says it's snowing in Calgary. Oh my gosh. And so I guess you won't be golfing today unless you use a ball that glows in the dark. Anyway, so we'll talk about anything you want to talk about, Rebecca. And I think the most important part is that what we're going to do with our first training, this is our first one that we've done. It's going to be very interactive. I have a bit of an agenda, but you'll notice when I get on these calls, I have an agenda, but it doesn't always go in that direction. Just because we have an agenda, if I've got 40 people or 30 people or 20 people or 200 people on that summit, since it's the very first one, this is why it's a cool one. We're not sure how it's going to go. We're going to kind of see, it's going to be very off the cuff as far as I know what I want to cover, and there'll be things that we need to cover, but as far as how long is it going to be, I'm planning 12 to 5 Eastern. But if you guys realize, I also plan on every one of my Facebook Live videos to be about 10 or 15 minutes. If you go back and look at all my Facebook Live videos, I think the shortest one's 35 or 40 minutes. Most of them are 50 minutes or so. So I want to get that interaction because that's what sales is. It's interactions, it's talking to people. So if I'm talking to Rebecca, or if I'm talking to Sam, or if I'm talking to somebody, it's not about me closing them on the product. It's not about me, and I keep coming back to this, selling the pin, talking about the features and benefits. It's more about talking to Sam and getting to know a little bit about him and what he wants from me. See, when you come to one of the trainings, let's say you come to the summit, you're on the summit, Rebecca. Who's the customer? You are. So who's right? You are. Does that mean that we are going to cover what you want? The answer is yeah, because you're the customer. If that means, Rebecca, we've got to do a one-on-one conversation with you to talk about your situation differently. If you've got 20 people on that, if you've got 200 people, you're all going to have different expectations. You're all going to have different thought process. You're going to bring a different set of preconceived notions to that summit or to that conversation. So it doesn't matter whether it's a summit, doesn't matter if it's one-on-one. When I'm talking to somebody, they obviously want to make sure that or I want to make sure as a person selling them something that I am listening to what they need. 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them in that ratio, you're going to be just fine. I know I talked a little bit about my mother-in-law. She's on this call today, and she was in and I know that I'm going to say this probably incorrectly, but at least to get the meaning out there. She works with adults with disabilities, and she has for 46 years. She's retiring this week, so God bless her. That's awesome. The only downside is she's moving closer to my house, which, there's some good things and there's bad things in life, and you got to go with those trade-offs. And so she'll probably be at our house more. And I'm not sure that I should probably be saying that because she'll probably make a comment. My wife obviously is hearing this as well. So, but anyway, I got to be myself. And so in sales, no matter what your business in, we're in it. So she's actually in social work, adults with disabilities. But is she not selling her training programs, her thoughts, her ideas with them every day? Yes, she is. And she's talking to people that sometimes cognitively can't understand the message as well as somebody else might be able to. And so the process has to take longer. It's going to take more to do that. So if I was talking to Sam and we were going through that and he's the customer, I'm going to get to know him. I'm going to ask him some questions. And it may be as little as selling him a pen. It could be selling him a car. It could be selling him training. It could be getting him into a mastermind group. Sam's a real estate guy, so it could be buying or selling a property. He may be a joint venture partner on a deal with me. It could be me trying to get him to help me sell a house, if he's my realtor in this instance. So it can be a number of different scenarios, and that's why I was talking to a former student of mine. His name's Brian, and we were talking about the sales summit that we have coming up. And you guys that want to be in it, you gotta click on the button and register for it. So if you say you want to be there, that's great. You gotta say you want to be there. Let us know, because we got stuff where we want to get sent to you beforehand so that you're prepared and ready to go. But I was talking to Brian, and Brian said, well, maybe you ought to not just call it sales, because what happens with the word sales? It's like a naughty word. It's like an S word that's bad. And so I like to call it, maybe a better word is communication, things like that. Darnell Hardy. Haven't seen Darnell in probably about 20 years, 15 years, probably 15 years. And so great to see you, Darnell. Awesome. And so are you back in La Vista, my friend? I think that's where you're at, or Omaha area. I know you moved down to Texas for a while. But anyway, it's great to see some people that I haven't seen for a long time. Anyway, I know when you guys I know when most people get on Facebook Live, they're not expecting to have banter and be asking questions and answering questions. But I know I'm a little different. My wife tells me I'm way different. Well, she married me, and she's been with me for 24 years now. So she's the one that's got some issues, not me, I guess, in that scenario. But with sales, and I keep coming back to that, do I have to ask for the sale? I don't think so, because if I ask the questions, I just keep asking questions, and the question to ask for the sale fits right in with the questions. And so let's say that I am trying to sell a house to Sam. I keep using Sam, and he is the customer. If Sam wants to buy a house, he's already gauged some interest that he wants to buy a house. So the questions just come down to, Sam, well, what are you looking for in a house? What are you looking for in a house? Well, I'm looking for at least 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Oh, that's awesome. Sam, do you have a family? Sam says, yeah, I've got a wife and a couple of little kids. They're 5 and 3. I know Sam's going, they're not 5 and 3 anymore. I'm using it as an example. Sam's going, I don't, that's kids I didn't know about. Be careful, Sam, okay? And so he says, I got a wife and I got two little kids. They're 5 and 3. I said, that's awesome. So Sam, obviously kids starting to school. Are they homeschooled or are they going to a different school? A public school, private school, whatever. He goes, well, they're going to a private school. I said, so the location of the house near the private school might be important to you? He says, yeah. So what am I doing? I'm listening to his questions. I'm asking questions that are giving me information. So Sam, if you say you want at least 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, what are some other things you're looking for in a house? Sam says, well, I got little kids, so I want a big backyard. Want a big backyard. Might even want a big tree in the backyard because I like building tree houses. And so all those different things need to go into it. And so what am I doing is every time he is giving me an answer to a question or giving me information, what I'm doing is I'm putting that in my memory, or you could put it on your iPad, your phone. Nobody has a problem in the world today if you say, hey, I know you're telling me a lot of information here, Sam. Can I just take some notes, put them in my notes on my phone so that I don't forget the answers to the questions that we had? I guarantee he's not going to say that's a problem whatsoever. Malcolm, how are you doing? And so I'm sure he's never going to say it's a problem. So you can just take those notes. I'm old school. I a lot of times have a notebook and a pen. So it doesn't matter how you do it. It's a matter of you taking notes and taking a genuine interest in somebody. I keep coming back to the 2 ears, 1 mouth. You've got to pay attention when you ask a question. I always, and I know I've said this multiple times on these calls or on these Facebook Lives, is names are so important. And I've used Sam's name at least a half a dozen times just in this example. And I do that on purpose because that's how you remember somebody's name. How do you remember anything? You say it over and over. You do it over and over. I don't care what it is you do. You could be, Chris, how you doing, buddy? You could literally be a cook making food and you've got the recipe memorized because you've made it a million times. The first time you make it, you're not going to remember it. The second time you make it, you may remember 1 or 2 ingredients, but you're not going to remember the whole thing. But if you do it 50 times, you're not going to probably need the recipe anymore. And so it's the same way with remembering names. It's the same way with closing the sale. It doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be conversational. So if I'm talking to Sam and he's telling me all these things he wants in a house, and we've gotten back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and now I find a product that fits his needs. It could be as simple as a pen. It could be a house. It could be he could be a joint venture partner with me in a deal. It can be so many different levels. It doesn't just have to be what you consider to be sales. And I hope I'm communicating that well enough to everybody because sales is communication. It just isn't sales. So Sam, I understand these are all the things you want in a property. Is there anything else, Sam, if I could get you the perfect dream home that you would want? And just asking those types of questions. So now, let's say that we find a house that has, you're never going to find a house that has 100 things that, all 100 things that Sam wants. It's just not realistic. But maybe we've got 60 or 70% of the things that he wants. It's in a great location. It's got a great big backyard with a big tree in it. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it has 4 bedrooms instead of 3. Whatever the situation is, but it's close to what he's asking for. So now when we go in there, are we going to ask for the sale? Actually, yeah, but it's not going to feel like we're asking for the sale. Because literally, if I'm selling a house, think about this for just a second. He's in the house that he's told me a lot of things that he wants. So all I have to ask him is very simple. Does this property look like something that would work for you guys, for your family? He can say yes, he can say no, but did I ask for the sale? The answer is yeah. You don't have to twist his arm and say, Sam, this is the best property you're ever going to have, and I think you need it right now. That is not what we're looking to do. What we're looking to do is try to solve his problem, fit his needs with the products, the services, the things that we're selling. So I think it's imperative that we start to see this kind of stuff as we're going through our selling process. It's more just a conversation. If I said to everybody on the Facebook Live, do you like to sell? And most people would probably tell me no. But if I ask the same question, do you like to talk to people? Do you like to have a conversation? I bet most of you guys would say yeah. So guess what? You're actually selling. You're selling every day in every way. And I know it's hard to get to that mentality, but that's my goal, is to change the mindset over what sales actually is. I don't want it to be a dirty word. I have gotten so many nice compliments from people, and it's been amazing to hear them. And they'll say, Pip, you sold me without even, it didn't even feel like I was being sold. Well, that right there is what it's all about. Wendy Snedden, all the way from the UK. I think I've been on some text blasts back and forth with you. And I apologize with Glenn. I don't even know how you know Glenn, but I apologize that Glenn is obviously in that text blast as well. That's an inside joke for a few people on this call. But the thing I want you guys to think about with this is if you can do a conversation, if you can ask questions, you can sell all day long. Because if you like talking to people, if you like asking questions, that, ladies and gentlemen, is sales. It doesn't have to feel dirty. It doesn't have to feel like you're twisting somebody's arm. You just have to show them, first of all, that you care. Once you show them that you care, I remember Chris Lane sitting in a class with me in Dallas, Texas, probably a couple years ago now. And Chris, a busy guy. At the time, he was either UPS or FedEx. I knew you were one of the delivery service guys. I can't remember which one it was. And I don't think you do that anymore if I remember right. And I know some of you guys are still saying, how do you remember all that stuff? It's because I cared about Chris. If you care about something, you remember it. It's when you don't care about something and you think of things as just a number and it's no big deal, that's when you're going to lose sales. That's when you're not going to get friends in this world. You've got to remember things about people. And how do you remember about it? You listen, first of all. You take note of that kind of stuff, and then you commit it to memory. UPS. I couldn't remember which UPS or FedEx or whatever it was. Chris, at the time, busy guy. I mean, as busy as you can get. I mean, he's working tons of hours. Those UPS guys, they work overtime. They're gone all day long. Chris is got a family, a lot of kids. I don't remember 3 or 4. I think he had 3 kids when I met you, something like that, Chris. And they're little kids. So he's a busy guy. Maybe he's got 4. I can't remember exactly. But all I did with Chris, just like I would anybody else, is take a genuine interest in who he is and what I can remember about him. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't seen Chris in literally 2 years, I'll bet. I think I met him, if I'm not mistaken, Anita might have been there. If she's on, I don't know if that's, I never know if it's Sam or Anita on there when it says Sam and Anita. I'm thinking it's Sam, but Anita always answers. But anyway, 4 years ago. Oh, 4 kids. Okay, 4 kids. I'm thinking 4 years ago. No, I think it was like September of 2018, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I think it was September of 2018. And the point I'm trying to make on that, 10, 7, 6, and 3, that's beautiful. The point I'm trying to make on that is, why do I remember that? It's not because it's a magic trick. It's because you care. And people will buy from you when they know you care. People don't give a flying hoot about you and what you have to sell them if they don't know that you care. And so when you care, it's Anita Oss. I never know who it is, if it's Sam or Anita. The way you have that written on there, it says Sam Anita Winkle. So I'm always screwed up. And if people know that you care, they will spend more time with you, answering questions. But you've got to be genuine about it. It can't be a facade. I always thought it was cool that 99% of the time when I would meet students through the trainings that I've done in the past, they were 99% of the time they were 3-day trainings. I did some other shorter stuff, but they were 99% of the time they were 3-day trainings. So what it allowed me to do is to get to know people over time. I go back and look at the grocery store environment that I grew up in. And that was a cool environment because people would come into the store at least on a weekly basis, and sometimes more than one time a day or one time a week. And so you got to see that repetition. I guarantee when Chris worked for UPS, there were certain stores, there were certain houses that he was there a lot of times, and he may get to know those people. And there's no different than the mailman, things like that. Once you get to know people, that's when it's much easier to show them that you care. And you can constantly do that. And it doesn't have to be a monetary contribution. All it has to be is taking the time to ask, taking the time to remember. And I put myself, and maybe this is something I do that some of you guys that might be scared of the sale or scared to close or whatever words you want to do that maybe don't want to do, and that's make a mistake. I know that when I sit in front of this microphone and I start trying to use my memory and try to remember how many kids Chris has and what he did for a living and when I met him. I could be wrong on any one of those issues. And even if I'm wrong, guess what? At least the fact that I tried is okay. And more importantly, I'll go back to Amanda. I think she got on here very early. She said she was on here. I'm going to double check. Amanda, I think, was one of the first people to say hello. And maybe I'm wrong today. Amanda's been on a number of these. Amanda, there she is. She's not quite to the top of that. Amanda, I had misunderstood, I about said misremembered. Is George Bush back in the Oval Office now? Misremembered. I forgot. That's a better word to say. My language is not always perfect. I know that. And so anyway, when I saw Amanda's name come up, I immediately put it out there that I thought she was from Brisbane, Australia, because I have another young lady with the last name of Soto from Brisbane. And so as soon as I said it, I was wrong. And it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to be wrong on a Facebook Live. It's okay to maybe have, stuff on my face, not to look perfect in a Facebook Live video. I've asked some people to do testimonials, and they were like, I had to wait to get a haircut. I had to wait to do this. I had to wait to do that. I cannot stress enough. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you do anything, you will do nothing. If you're waiting for you to have, money before you do something, if you're to buy a house, if you're waiting for yourself to know everything about everything before you do anything, you will do nothing. And so I think it's so Masook, that's Masook too. She wanted her video to look perfect. And Masook, you did look perfect in the video. And the thing is, you understand. And I think it's kind of funny. And maybe I might offend somebody when I say this, but I don't think so. You see these people. And my wife and daughter have started watching, oh my gosh, what's the name of the show? Botched. And I don't know what network it's on, but it's about plastic surgery that's gone bad. I believe that's the name of the show. And I know some of you guys are going, wow, this guy's really all over the place. Where I'm going with this is when we see people that are so fake looking, we laugh at that. Sure, we all want to look better. I wish I didn't have the wrinkles. I wish I didn't have, extra pounds. I wish that I looked perfect. I don't. I wish that it sounded perfect. I wish I had the best microphone every time. I wish that I had the right videos every time. I started doing these, and one of my business partners always says, good is better, or done is better than perfect. I have a quote, now I'm going to try to memorize it word for word. It's George S. Patton. And Patton talks about, he said, a perfect plan executed next week is, or a good plan executed next week is far better than a perfect plan executed next year. And so just understanding it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be good enough. It's so nice when you have people on your Facebook Live that like to just smack you like that. Steve, I don't know how I could have gotten through the whole video without you smacking me. That's beautiful. But see, I think that makes you more human when you're able to let people make fun of you. It's okay. I don't ever take it seriously. And I know Masook and I have had this conversation about sarcasm and not having English as your first language. I know that I'm never going to be the smartest guy in any room I go to, even if I'm by myself. That's what I know. Because I'm sure there's somebody, a mosquito or a gnat hanging around that's probably smarter than I am. And I'm okay with that. I know I'm never going to be the best looking guy in any room. No comments from you, Steve Hipple. And so the point is, it's okay not to be the smartest. It's okay to put your hands out and say, I need some help. I'm always amazed, and I would do a lot of games when I would do in-person trainings where I'd have people put their fist out like this, and they'd put a money on top of it. And I would hit their hand, and the money would fly off. Well, then I told them to put their hand out like this, put the money on there like that. And they'd hit their hand and the money wouldn't go anywhere. And so what's the difference? And it was always a visual. The difference between this mentality and the difference between this mentality. One is closed, one is open. If you're open, you can receive. If you're open, you can grow. If you're open, you can help other people. As soon as you're closed off and you don't want to help other people, or as soon as you're closed off and you say, I am comfortable. That's the one thing that, if I have one pet peeve in my world, it's when people say, I'm comfortable, I don't need anything else. If you're comfortable, the only person you're helping out is you. And I truly believe we're put on this earth to help each other out, and I keep saying that. So I'm I don't care if I'm 52, if I'm 72, I'm going to keep moving forward and keep taking the next step. I am going to get out of my comfort zone because I know the only time we grow, I know the only time our muscles improve is when they get a little sore sometimes. And as we get older, they get a lot more sore more easily and they take a lot longer to recover. But I know those muscles are getting stronger. I know they're getting better. And so if I could give you one thought process on asking for the sale, don't ask for the sale. Just keep asking questions. Eventually the questions will come up. Is this something that you want? Is this something that will help you? And if you can answer to any of those questions, then you guess what? You've asked for the sale. And see, you don't have to make it hard. You don't have to say, this is the best pen ever. It's got this, and this is why I think you ought to buy it, and you should buy it, Miss Suk. No, I don't. I don't ever would want you to sell like that. Miss Suk, are you in the market for a new pen? Maybe. Miss Suk, what are you looking for in a pen? Are there some things that you need in a pen? And she tells me this, and this. Miss Suk, if I could get a pen that would help you, maybe give you some of those things that you're looking for, would that be something you might be interested in? She says, yes. Did I just ask for the sale? Yes, I did. But how did I do it? I did it by asking questions first and listening. What did I do? I led or lead, however you want to say that word that's behind me there. I led her to the pen that she wants, and then I'm going to link it back to the sale. So it's listen, lead, and link in everything that you do. And we can say that about everything that we do every day. Doesn't matter what the process is. I know that I'm starting to get my message out there, and I know it's not easy, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Sometimes I'm frustrated when people don't understand my message, when they don't get what I want to say. And so that's frustrating for me. But I know I'm starting to get it because, like I said, yesterday I was talking to a guy by the name of Brian, or the day before I was talking to Brian, and we were talking about sales. And Brian's like, even when you ask for a date, you're in sales. And that is the mentality I want people to understand. I know that every conversation we have has some form of selling in it. Even if it means you're not selling a product, you're selling an idea, you're selling your thought process, you're selling your value systems. Even if you're not trying to get that person to buy into what you're doing, at least you're telling them a little bit about yourself. You're selling yourself. So I think it's imperative that we understand that we're not asking for a sale. What we're generally doing is just asking questions. I don't think anybody on here would ever have a problem asking other people questions. So if we look at closing, if we look at asking for the sale as just asking questions, it makes it really, really easy. I'm going to end with a story. And this was, I had mentored, I got into a real estate training program back in 2002, for those of you that don't know. And my brothers and I bought a bunch of properties. They asked my brother and I to come on and be mentors for them. And so we mentored for a couple of years. Now, before I got onto mentoring, I told the guy, I said, they'd asked us to become mentors because we'd had some successes in real estate, and he knew that we could help other students. I was humbled to be asked that. But I also said to him, I said, I don't want to mentor other students. I don't want to mentor people. He goes, because I've never been turned down by people who I asked to get, come on as mentors. I said, well, what I really like to do, his name is AC. I said, AC, what I really like to do is I like to teach groups of people. I said, my wife says I talk better in front of 50 people than I do one-on-one. I don't think that's a compliment coming from my wife, by the way. Anyway, I like to talk in groups of people. I love the energy of a group. I said, I'd love to teach the class rather than do one-on-one mentoring. He said, mentor for 2 years, or mentor for 18 months is what he said, and then you can do anything you want to with this company, but prove that you can mentor and help people one-on-one. Then they'll want you to help people in groups. So that's what I did. And so I started speaking in groups of people anywhere, on average, I'm going to say there are 50 to 70 people in a room. At the time, I lived in Nebraska City. My first training that I had on my own, meaning I was the only one speaking, was in Kansas City, actually where I live now. And I had seen other trainers do stuff, and I had seen other people ask for the sale. And so I literally, Saturday afternoon, towards the end of the day on Saturday, and I had seen this done by other people, so I'm thinking that it's going to be the same thing. So sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So I said to everybody in the room, I said, okay, by a show of hands, how many of you guys know that you maybe want to do some more training? And every other time I'd seen somebody do that, I'd seen a bunch of hands go up and say, yeah, I'm interested in buying your product, is really what they're saying. Well, I asked that question. It's been 13 years ago now. 13 years ago in February or March. Actually, it was February of 2007. So almost 13 and a half years ago now. So I asked the question to 70 some people in a ballroom in a hotel in Kansas City, Missouri. It was the Embassy Suites down by the plaza. So I raised my hand. I said, okay, by show of hands, how many of you guys know you'd like to do some more training after this weekend? I raised my hand to try to get them. It's a visual. It's mirroring. Not a single person in that room raised their hand. Now, I don't know of anybody on this call, maybe two people. Anita and Steve may understand what I'm talking about right now, at least that I see well, Masuk knows what I'm talking about, on the chat over there. And that's a really, really, really tough feeling. When you raise your hand, say, hey, how many of you guys would like to do this? And nobody is on your team with you there. And what I found interesting about that was probably the most humbling training I've ever had. And when nobody raised their hand, I didn't know what to do because I'd never seen that happen in the ones that I had watched ahead of time. And so I look back and I think that's probably the best. Maggio's on here. Been there, definitely. Glenn, you've seen that, yeah. And so I was shocked, didn't know what to do. And but actually probably the best experience I ever had, because guess what? It made me realize that not everybody is going to say yes when you ask for the sale, no matter how well you do it and how good of a salesperson you are. And it's okay. They're not saying, I don't like you, Pip. They're not saying, I don't like you, Matt. What they're saying is, I'm not sure I want this product right now. I'm not sure it's a fit for me. If I'm trying to sell Masuk a pen and she doesn't want my pen, guess what? It's all good. There's other Masuks out there. That was a nasty thing to say, Masuk. There's other customers out there. There's no other Masuks. There's other customers out there. There's other people that need a pen, and it's okay. You can move on from it. Because what's the worst case scenario? You've been told no. Now, I would venture a guess that everybody on here does have kids or has been a kid. I guarantee you're on one side of those things. Most of you are probably on both sides of those things. I know some of you aren't, but most of you have been a kid. Let me rephrase that. All of you have been kids at one point and had parents probably, or an adult telling you things. And many of us have kids. And so what I've been told, statistically speaking, the first word that most babies learn is no. And it's okay. So if you get told no, does that hurt? Maybe. Are you going to be okay? There's an old saying from when I'm a kid. I don't know that it's used as much anymore because there's a lot of people that get offended. And I know I shouldn't go off on this topic, but it's funny. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I don't know why that's changed, but apparently it has. I'm not saying you should try to offend anybody, but what I am saying is it's okay to hear no when you ask somebody for the sale. And just remember, if somebody says no, learn from it, use it for the next time. Every time somebody would shake my hand, Leo, how you doing, my friend? And every time somebody would shake my hand and tell me why they weren't buying the product, guess what I would do? I would put that in the notes and I would try to figure out how do I overcome that objection the next time I present. So just remember, a no should be information gathering time. What didn't go right here? What can I improve on the next time? So always look at that no as an example or an opportunity to grow and learn. Just remember that, and the no's will not hurt near as much. Take it as an opportunity to grow and become better. Sharpen your knife, whatever you want to call it, master your craft. Doesn't matter to me what term you want to use. But no matter what, if you learn from everything you do, you keep getting better. It's when you quit learning from those mistakes or quit learning from those lessons that you've done. It is so important to, your postman story. Glenn has a great story about the postman and getting him to be a lender on a property, if I remember right. It's a cool story. You just never know what you don't know. But you've got to be in front of people on a regular basis. And I think that's important. As long as you're learning from those no's, as long as you're growing each and every time, you're going to be all right. So I'm already at 40 minutes. Man, these 40 minutes go so fast. I have to say this. You guys are going to be going to the summit. Please go to burbanksummit.com and sign up so that we know, because we've got stuff we're sending out. We got to make sure that we have all of our Zoom stuff ready to rock and roll. And the other thing I'm going to tell everybody that's going to be on the summit, that's the hours are 12 to 5 Eastern. I'm pretty sure we're going to go long each day because I really haven't done a training in 6 or 7 months. So I have got a lot of pent up stuff in me that needs to get out, and I'm going to have a blast doing it. But it's definitely going to be like drinking from a fire hydrant. It's going to be a lot of information, but we'll stick around, answer questions. We'll do all that kind of stuff. So the 23rd, 24th, 25th, I'll keep plugging it because that's what sales is all about. It's about letting you know. I've been told that you got to tell people got to hear something 5 to 7 times before they really hear it. 5 to 7 times. Now, Steve Hipple, he needs to hear things 12 to 20 times before he gets it. But some people are slower than others. And so you got to do that differently for different people. You're welcome, Steve Hipple, because you've already smacked me. I'm going to smack you back. Speak longer. Shocking. Yeah, that never happens. Steve always tells me that I'm a master at making a short story longer. And so that's what I do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot of stuff. Please do me a favor. We're 1 week away. We need to start getting figured out on some numbers. So those of you guys that are thinking about it and you have questions, send me a message. Those of you guys that know you want to go, sign up for it, get registered so we know what's going on. And I know some people have already asked me, Pip, it's $100. I know it's $100. It's $100 for 3 days because multiple reasons. First reason is if you don't have skin in the game, you won't take it seriously. That's reason number one. Second reason is it's 100% money back guaranteed. We stand behind everything, or I stand behind, whatever you want to call it, everything that I'm going to tell you over those 3 days. So I want to show you that we know there's value and people pay for value, but there also is always that, what do we talk about in real estate? An exit clause. An exit clause. If you don't have an exit clause in your contract, you shouldn't be getting into a contract. But just make sure you guys understand that there's 100% money back guarantee. Get signed up for it. I'm excited. I can't hardly wait. And I know Amanda was telling me her and Jesus are going to be on vacation, but they're going to figure out how to make it work. And so, and do me a favor, if you can't make that date work, just let us know. We're going to be doing another one. We're still working on the dates for a November one, but we're going to be doing more. But I also know this will be the first one that we do. So you will, and everything's being recorded. And so, unfortunately, you got to sign a disclaimer since everything's recorded. So Maggio's got to sign a disclaimer because he signed up for it. And he's got to sign a disclaimer because we're going to have video. But I think there's going to be a lot of blooper reels from this first one. So be on that first one. It's going to be a lot. I love and I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to say it. It's GIF. Is it GIF or GIF? I don't even know. But yeah, just sign up for it, and you have to sign a waiver because we're going to use some of that stuff for marketing, and it will be fun. And maybe that's probably going to scare some of you guys away. No, you'll live in infamy because I want to be able to talk about this first group for the rest of my life. I can still talk about students I met years and years ago. I mean, there's tons of you. I would love to talk about Leo. And you guys will hear a story about Leo at that training. He doesn't even know it yet. He knows the story, but he doesn't know that I'm going to share that story yet. Because what happened was Leo did some things when he came into New York City. And I got to tell you, Leo's a cop on the gang unit in New York City. So Leo's a tough guy. And Leo's got the perfect New York accent. It's awesome. You're very welcome, Alfonso. And so the point is, Leo comes in and says some stuff in his testimonial that would normally, I would say, you probably shouldn't say. But the thing is, everybody loved Leo because he was real. You could feel it coming from his heart. His wife and his kids were in the back of the room when he was talking, so people understood that we're all different. We're going to talk differently. We got different accents. Some of us say words differently. Some of us say words incorrectly. Some of us say the wrong words when we're not supposed to. So I think it's imperative you all understand we're going to have some fun. It's going to be real. And yeah, it's going to be real fun. At least I'm going to have a blast doing it. So look forward to seeing you guys those dates. And And I don't know if Dan Shaker's going to hear this, but I'm definitely going to text him. Steve Hipple, help me out with this because I will forget, I know. I want to do my next Zoom, or I'm going to do my next Facebook Live with Zoom. So I think there'll be a link in there that you click to go on Zoom. If you don't know how to use Zoom, send me a private message. I've become not an expert, but at least knowledgeable in Zoom and how it works. We had a Zoom practice for our summit that's coming up a couple days ago. It was a lot of fun. We had people all over the world on it. So October 23rd, 24th, 25th, sign up for that. We'll do another Facebook Live either tomorrow or Friday, definitely. And so we're going to have a lot of fun. As I say every time when I do these, find somebody you know in your life, somebody you don't know, somebody you just met. Maybe it's your postman, Glenn. I don't care who it is. And tell them they're going to be all right. Because we need to lift each other up instead of pulling each other down. So turn to somebody you know. Tell them you're going to be all right. You guys have a great day. We will talk again soon.